All right, everyone, welcome back. It is time now for the youth session. This program has been a platform for students to present ideas that address the challenges of our time. Their fresh and sometimes delightfully out-of-the-box perspectives have often opened up our eyes to change the way of thinking. This year, they will take on the theme of rethinking capitalism, shedding light on the unsettling questions and contradictions that shape our everyday lives. I would now like to invite Project Assistant Professor YOSHIOKA Rafaela from UTokyo's Center for Global Education. She's led and facilitated this cross-border project, and she will guide us through the findings and insights that each group has developed. So Yoshioka-sensei, let's hand things over to you now.
Thank you, Yamamoto-san. Hello, everyone, and welcome. As my students' biggest fan, it is my greatest pleasure to witness this remarkable moment. Please give them a big hand for their courage and leadership. Thank you. Please take your seats. Since August, these 19 students from the University of Tokyo and leading South Korean universities have taken part in this international collaborative project, engaging in months of rigorous and lively discussions around this complex theme, capitalism. In our first class, I asked them, what's their image of capitalism? The first answers I received, I'm not going to be judging, just saying. It was very abstract, and it wasn't really connected to their everyday life. So I introduced this term, moya moya, in Japanese, which means this foggy sense of frustration. And suddenly, this capitalism became very personal to them. And they started noticing that influence everywhere, in their daily routines, in their interactions, and even on their own aspirations. And during our visit to Korea, coordinated by the Jie-ae Institute for Advanced Studies and guided by Professor SOHN, we visited companies and institutions to conduct fieldwork to explore how different actors work to confront the challenges produced by the traditional form of capitalism. The schedule was so intense that I'm sure some of them even dreamed of capitalism during those nights. And today, after months of lectures, field visits, and the countless discussions, they are finally here to present their bright and hopeful insights and proposal for the future of capitalism. Good luck, and always remember, your voice matters, okay? Now, please welcome the first presenting group. Presenters are Song Da-yeon from Dondak Women's University, Kim Min-ji from Korean University, Samejima Nanami from the University of Tokyo, and Yokoi Rintaro from the University of Tokyo.
Everyone here shares one condition. We all live inside capitalism, but we don't always notice how deeply it shapes our everyday thinking. Our presentation looks at capitalism, but not as a distant theory. What is capitalism? We define it as a market-driven social system in which values conveyed into capital and capital determine success. It may sound like a simple definition, but think about how it becomes the ground on which many young people started to understand their own situation. From these observation, we arrive at fundamental question. How does capitalism shape our generation's conception and choices? In other words, how does it influence the way young people think about their lives? And our starting point is simple but essential. The perception behind each choice, how young people understand their situation, and what shapes their decision before they even act. To explain this question, we focus on three key concepts: the career path selection, and the word of career, dream, and work, and the last is support.
To deepen the discussion on our concepts, we conducted interviews. It was qualitative research to confirm that our concern is not only ours, but also universal to the youth. Also, we wanted to get inspiration from new ideas from their real stories. We set our interviewees as early 20 students who are in the major university in Japan and Korea. We interviewed 16 people, and it was meaningful to us since it was the chance to listen to the vivid voice of the youth. The interview questions are classified into 3 parts. We questioned what was their dream and their current work, trying to find hints inside the responses and personal meaning of the words. It showed us that youth have various dreams, but they cannot pursue them sincerely since they have to economically survive in the urban areas. Though there were various interesting points in our interviews, we decided to focus on 2 insights. First, youth of Japan and Korea have big anxiety that they have to become shakaijin, which is sawein in Korean. According to our interview, shakaijin means to youth that youth have to become economically independent by their jobs. To get a job that is attractive economically, they compete with others, which leads to another anxiety that they have to win their competition. For second insights, commonly used in their environment, they cannot really pursue their dreams. In this context, environment means time and space. Since they have to achieve social standards like entrance exams or qualifications for job hunting, they feel they don't have enough time to pursue their dreams, what they sincerely want to do in their lifetime. Also, youth have no space to gather with co-workers, nor capital to reserve the space. However, youth want to redefine work within the context of how they want to live. That's why we have to narrow the gap between career and dreams in society.
Listening to those words from the interviews, we asked ourselves, what kind of initiatives do we as a group consider necessary? I will begin by introducing our background concerns of the proposal. Careers should start from the self. While this should be shaped by curiosity, emotions, their lived experiences and encounters, oftentimes societal expectations take priority. The second point is regarding sahoin or shakaijin, especially prevalent in Japanese and Korean cultures. The term evokes pressure of self-sufficiency as presented before. The word implicitly mandates an already established set of individual responsibilities. The core problem is that the word and the concept are defined by others from the youth's perspective, which is something we must rethink. Lastly, before young people face job market expectations, we claim that a space for articulating values and experiences in a raw, unedited format is crucially needed. Securing a place where students not only listen to others, but also be listened to about how you want to live or what you want to change in the society, rather than specifically what profession you're selecting. Based on this background, we propose a living lab for rethinking work, which are spaces provided on university campuses where students ask these questions. The activities are structured around 2 main pillars.
Now we will move on to the details of how living lab actually works. First, the students participate in a philosophical dialogue. In this session, rather than starting from the industry expectations, they will begin with the fundamental questions like what they want to do. On the other side, the micro project components encourage them to take the small step to test their curiosity in everyday context. The feedback they receive from this experience helps them gradually develop their own narrative story. The purpose of this program is to create the continuous space where students can reflect on their values and develop their own narrative over time. Through this recurring cycle of dialogue, actions, and reflections, students eventually arrive their own meaning of 사회인, 사카이진, not the standardized by society imposes. For now, we plan to start the program within universities, but in the long term, we expect this model to go beyond the campuses and open up to local citizens as well. However, this proposal addresses the part of the whole problem. It only influences individuals and does not change social structure that existing in a working environment. Broadening the perspective, we will further continue to think about the formative change regarding the youth envisioning future. This includes our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Now, let me welcome the next presenting group. Presenters are Chae Minu from Seoul National University, Sakakibara Sumika from the University of Tokyo, Matsuno Ai from the University of Tokyo, and Lee Go-eun from Korea University.
Good afternoon, everyone. Group E showed that young people today have to find genuine spaces for connection, but at the same time, AI-driven capitalism is reshaping and even commercializing those very connections. This is what we call the intimacy economy. And ironically, the harder it becomes to connect with real people, the easier it feels to turn to AI for comfort. Human relationships require patience, negotiation, and emotional risk, and that can feel overwhelming. Meanwhile, AI offers a form of connection with no conflict, no judgment, and no emotional cost. So, when we feel lonely or stressed, many of us increasingly turn to AI for support. But this convenience comes with a cost. When we outsource emotional labor to machines, we lose the motor sensibilities that only grow through real human conflicts or friction. Historically, capitalism has expanded by turning new domains of life into markets. We moved from producing goods to competing for attention by making everything as data, and now toward monetizing intimacy. Each stage promises connection, but it often delivers extraction instead. AI systems actively pull us in, sometimes even appealing to us emotionally. This is the frontier we want to examine. How far should emotional markets go, and what does it cost us? There are two major forms of the intimacy economy. The first is manufactured companionship, AI partners and grief technologies that simulate closeness. We've already seen this risk in Garcia versus Character AI, where an AI chatbot deepened unhealthy emotional dependence and blurred the line between support and manipulation. The second is emotional data extraction, which operates more subtly. AI systems analyze our affective signals across text, voice, facial expressions, and behavior. They turn these cues into emotional data sets used for prediction and even behavioral steering, turning our psychological states into market resources. At that point, the platform isn't just recommending products, it's playing the role of a friend who understands you. So, And when a system feels like it knows you, trusts you, and cares about you, how easily do we start buying what it suggests?
As you know, there are emotional ethical problems caused by the intimacy economy. AI partners cause emotional exploitation and the replacement of human relationship with commercially designed emotional substitutes. As emotional engagements become tradable, we face a fundamental problem. Are we still ends in ourselves or merely means for algorithmic profit? Intimacy economy raises not only ethical but also economic problems. From an economic perspective, the danger here is past dependence. We see users getting trapped not by legal control but by what we call emotional gravity. Because your conversation history and emotional comfort are locked inside a platform, switching becomes psychologically painful, effectively creating a monopoly. This leads to a critical market failure. The market creates invisible externalities like broken trust and eroded empathy, which it cannot price. Ultimately, the cost to repair this social damage is far higher than the profit this interaction generates. This may weaken the democratic foundations of society from within.
I'd like to ask you a crucial question when rethinking capitalism. Is capitalism sustainable? Our answer is both yes and no. It can be sustainable, but only if we make significant changes. If we maintain capitalism exactly as it is today, the answer becomes no. So what needs to change? We often hear two extreme proposals. The first is to abandon capitalism completely. Do you think this proposal will go well? What would happen in such a world? It would destroy our social and economic foundations. The second is to accept an AI-dominated new normal. This might look efficient, but it tends to deepen our social challenges, such as declining birth rate and weakening human relationships. Both extremes are unsustainable. That leads us to our key argument. The only viable way is to govern AI within clear social rules. Young people, including us, will live the longest into the AI era and be the most affected. However, we currently have the limited power to change the situation. That is why regulation is needed. Next, let's look at how the world is regulating AI, focusing on the EU, Japan, and Korea. The EU AI Act is a risk-based model with countable standards. Japan's AI Promotion Act relies on the voluntary industry guidelines rather than the legal requirements. Both frameworks set important foundations. However, there is a problem that neither fully protects people from the emotional exploitation that AI systems can cause. The Korea AI Basic Act will establish a national government framework to promote AI innovation while ensuring trust, safety, and ethical standards. So Korea needs to balance innovation with ethics and rights.
So to address these challenges, our team developed a new framework. This table visualizes a balanced framework designed to counter intimacy capitalism. So we set up 2 dimensions for this framework. The first dimension represents the level of intimacy data extraction, and the dimension represents AI reliance. The ideal is human-centered innovation, sustainable progress with autonomy preservation. So our core argument is clear. AI operating within intimacy capitalism threatens the intimacy of our relationship, and therefore we must regulate it. So I propose these 3 essential conditions. We also anticipate an objection that restricting intimacy data would degrade the AI's utility and accuracy. However, what we aim to stop is not innovation itself, but exploitative innovation. Privacy protection and innovation can and must be pursued in parallel. And some may argue that dependence on AI is merely an efficient problem-solving method, but this view ignores that platforms deliberately induce dependence to maximize profit. So, we, as the generation who will carry the weight of this choice the longest, we know we need a lot of discussion on how we can build a future where technology supports rather than weakens our emotional world. We appeal to you all to help us build a future that preserves our intimacy and our humanity. Thank you for listening.
Center. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now let's welcome the third presenting group. Presenters are Lee Si-yeon from Korea University, Kim Ah-him from Yonsei University, and Sumi Kotaro from the University of Tokyo.
It's morning in the dormitory. Good morning. Oh no. It's a typical thing happening in my dormitory. And you may think that, I guess you are seeing such a people in the neighborhood as a young generation. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kotaro Sumi from University of Tokyo, and two Korean students, Lee Si-yeon and Kim Ah-him. Again, in the dormitory, even saying hello to others feels anchored. This is partly because many people are wearing the earphones and gazing smartphones. You may think the young generation is have difficulty or don't want to talk to others, but actually, we have no choice but shutting off. To be honest, I sometimes feel gazing on social media like boring or stressful. So we need a real conversation. We need a real connection. This is a point where we start our presentation.
The previous group emphasized AI regulation. However, let's look at our reality. Looks can't force us to talk to each other. We don't even say good morning to each other in our dorms. This is exactly why we need to focus on the aspect of small acts. We started from this point. There is no doubt that capitalism has made our lives better with lots of goods and services. But at the same time, it has fundamentally changed our relationships. Convenient technologies allow us to focus on our own worlds. This convenience is leading us to individualism. Then I have a question. Do you think we actually like it, this lifestyle? I'd like you to think about this, and we will share our answer later. On the other hand, Japan and South Korea are the most rapidly aging societies in the world. As a result, the rise in healthcare and social security costs is a growing concern in both countries. However, the problem goes beyond the budget. The real problem arises when aging combines with the disconnection we mentioned. This leads to social isolation. And research shows that this hurts the mental health of older adults. Data from Korea and Japan tells us that isolated seniors are 1.6 times more likely to suffer from depression. This shows that community is not an option, but a necessity for our sustainable future.
One of our team members, Kotaro, was born and raised in Gifu. He introduced us to the Gifu Morning Project. We learned how this morning tradition helps people reconnect within their community. So we look into our real data. When we look at the data, we found that many people actually skip breakfast. So we combined these issues with the problems of social disconnection. And that led us to our solutions. So we proposed Good Morning Community. This is a project that brings people together through shared breakfast and gentle conversations. We aim to use local spaces and neighborhood cafes for reconnection. Our ideas goes one step further. Instead of just sharing a meal, we want residents to co-create their community. Our ideas combine a morning made discount, where student and senior present their ID card together to receive a shared payment option with a community map activity. After sitting or paying together, the pair contributes a memory or future wish to the shared local map. These joint entries are collected over time and compiled into small community newspaper, created from resident stories and map contributions. This project is run by students, local volunteers, and other residents so that we can create natural connection and learning across generations. Here is how the project operates. Students work with local groups to secure simple community space, and breakfast is provided through partnership with nearby cafe or delivery service. With support from university research funds and government programs that promote healthy aging and community well-being, the project can continue in a sustainable way.
Although technology had advanced and we are able to get a choice to communicate instantly, but we still have the feeling of loneliness. And this is getting difficult and more difficult to make a relationship in a local community. I think something in this system has pushed the pursuit of personal time over the other thing, what we actually want. So this is why our project matters. Let's create a healthier and more fulfilled society where people rediscover the warmth of human connection. So everyone, let's have the breakfast together. And let's share a cup of coffee together. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your powerful presentation. Right, let's welcome the fourth presenting group. Presenters are Lee Ji-woo from Korea University, Woo Jong from Seoul National University, Goto Miyu from the University of Tokyo, and Nakano Tomohiro from the University of Tokyo.
While it is very enjoyable to share a cup of coffee with your friends and your family, I want you to ask yourself, is the cup of coffee that you're having, are the producers having the same cup of coffee as you are. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We would like to introduce our project, #Capitalism. When we were walking through the streets of Seoul together, Japanese and Korean students side by side, we noticed something: coffee shops on every corner. And we asked ourselves, how is it that we can enjoy all of this so easily and at such low prices? This reminded us that while capitalism has formed economic growth and positive economic relationship between Japan and Korea, it also made us depend heavily on developing countries for resources and production. Behind our everyday convenience lies someone else's invisible labor. This made us think about the concept of ethical consumption, how our daily choice affects the daily lives of those who we do not see. And we believe that being aware of this connection may be the first step towards change. This awareness made us consider the broader role of capitalism and the unique relationship that Japan and Korea has formed. What if the positive connection capitalism created between Japan and Korea could help solve the problems it caused? We believe that Japan and Korea, two developed, interdependent nations, have the power and the responsibility to create a fairer system of capitalism. So us as students, we wonder, how can we, as a team of Korean and Japanese students, spark awareness and inspire people to think critically about ethical consumption every day?
First, to promote ethical consumption, we started to focus on fair trade products. Fair trade is one of the most typical examples of ethical consumption, but both Korea and Japan fall behind other countries in fair trade sales. Why is this? One reason is our low awareness towards ethical consumption. Another major factor is high price of fair trade goods. However, when we visited a cafe in Korea, something surprising happened. One of the students chose an expensive coffee over a cheaper one, simply because it was trending on social media. That moment made us realize that our generation doesn't always choose the cheapest option. Sometimes trendiness matters more. So that is why we decided to launch our project, #Capitalism, focusing on making fair trade products trendy on social media. If fair trade becomes trendy, more people will become aware of it and naturally want to try it. And this helps consumers learn about ethical consumption. We believe this approach is especially effective in the Japan-Korean context, where young people strongly influence each other's trends. So, we came up with two solutions that take advantage of this trend-driven behavior to boost fair trade.
Our event title is Tag and Win, Real Consumers Supporting Real Workers. Participants post an Instagram story or feed introducing a fair trade product they use, for example, coffee, chocolate, or handmade soup. Some example brands include Beautiful Coffee from Korea and People Tree from Japan. They simply tag our account, #capitalism, and add the hashtag as you can see in this picture. Each month, we will randomly select several participants to receive a fair trade gift box, including coffee, chocolate, or tumblers, all fair trade certified. So the event directly supports producers in developing countries. Through this event, we aim to create a cycle of participants where followers engage, share their stories, and inspire others. If
For example, influencer celebrities of both countries, like K-pop idols, join the event. The message can spread even more quickly and motivate wider participation. Our goal is to turn this into a recognizable trend that encourages people to both countries to choose fair trade in their daily lives. This also helps strengthen the cross-border community we are building between Korean and Japanese students. However, individual participants alone cannot create large-scale change. To make a bigger impact, we wanted to involve companies that influence people's daily choices. That's why we developed our second solution.
Now, we'll introduce our second solution, a collaboration project called Share Fair. We propose forming partnerships with global companies like Starbucks to create fair trade certified products, such as a fair blend latte made with ethical sourced coffee beans from Ethiopia, or ethical cacao brownie made with fair trade cocoa and sugar. These products exemplify ethical luxury. Not only do they taste great, but they also contribute positively to the world. To make participation more meaningful, we suggest an incentive system where customers collect fair trade points through the app. These points can later be exchanged for eco-friendly goods like reusable cups or tote bags. We also propose the Fair Trade e-gift challenge, which combines the popular culture of digital gifting with ethical consumption. When someone sends an e-gift like a fair blend latte or ethical brownie, both the sender and receiver earn royalty points for their next fair trade purchase. This creates a win-win situation where both parties are rewarded while supporting a meaningful cause. Through this challenge, digital gifting becomes ethical sharing, a fun, social, and accessible way to practice fair trade in everyday life.
Through this project, we wanted to explore how to create positive change within capitalism. Our goal is to raise empathy and awareness by helping people recognize. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for a very creative presentation. Thank you. Now let's welcome the last presenting group. Presenters are Kim Jong-won from Korea University, Lee Na-hyun from Ewha Women's University, and Tsuji Haruki from the University of Tokyo, and Saito Toshiki from the University of Tokyo.
We believe in the power of startups, the game changer within our society, who originates all the innovation and shifting the paradigm. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jung-won, and today with my colleagues Na-hyun, Haruki, and Toshiki, we're going to propose the reshaping college startup ecosystem by bringing the new innovative initiative, Campus Venture Bridge.
Let's start with GAFAM, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. What do these companies have in common? They represent American capitalism and they lead the global economy. We tend to think of them as global giants, but in reality, all of these companies were founded by young people, mostly in their early 20s. Look at these people. You can almost feel the passion and hunger they had at that age. Innovation often begins with youth, both ideas, speed, and a willingness to taking risks. Young people accept new things faster, try them out in society, and are ready to fail and stand up again. Why is that? Earlier forms of capitalism created the conditions that allowed young innovators to enter the market. That actually became the foundation of American Dream too, the belief that anyone could succeed if they work hard. But contemporary capitalism has drifted away from that promise. Capital is now harder for young founders because it is heavily concentrated. Entry points are closing, and genuine competition is becoming nearly impossible for young founders. So instead of simply asking whether capitalism is good or bad, the real question is, how can we make the system work in a positive direction again? Let's redesign the incubating system for university students and young founders so that youth can once again have a real chance to innovate.
Okay, at present, we have mainly two ways for young individuals to start business. The first one is benefiting from campus incubator. This involves utilizing resources and support system. A lot of universities, including the University of Tokyo, Korea University, and Ewha Women University, have such systems. And the second is receiving funds from venture capitals or VCs. This is a more traditional way of seeking the investment in exchange for equity in their own companies. So let me compare these two methods. Yes, so this matrix helps you understand the trade-off of the campus incubators and VCs in terms of the barrier for entry and the level of responsibility they have to take. Starting from the incubator in the lower left position, yeah, it is low barrier because it is easier to be accepted compared to the VCs, compared to secure the VC's deal. However, it comes with low responsibility. That means that they don't often face severe pressure for immediate return. Moving on to the VCs, on the other hand, it has high barrier. So it is extremely difficult for young entrepreneurs to convince VCs to invest. And if succeed, it has high responsibility because they have professional investors who expect a high return. So as we discussed, both current two systems pose a significant challenge to young entrepreneurs. We want the barrier as low as possible, while we want to have the moderate level of responsibility. With this desire, we realize that the advantages and disadvantages of two entities can be complemented. So we got a solution, Campus Venture Bridge. This is a creative collaboration between universities and venture capitals. This is the innovative early-stage support model to boost youth entrepreneurship.
So, our solution mainly composes of 4 different steps. First step begins with the joint talent discovery. VC and campus, they together find promising entrepreneurs who are going to secure funds by utilizing different methods. Second step is they create co-funding model that VC and campus, they both give money to the ventures so that they can succeed. Universities give non-repayable grant, like just how they did usually, but venture capitals here give slight amount of money as a revenue-based funding. This creates a low entry barrier for ventures, but at the same time gives sense of responsibility. And the third step is acceleration. They provide good education to those ventures so that they can grow up as scalable businesses. For example, they can teach about intellectual property or logistics. Finally, when these ventures start creating their own revenues, then they have to pay the money back to the VCs as a monthly revenue share. If they achieve exponential growth, then they can actually secure additional funding to the VCs that they have got funded before. And this can create long-lasting relationships that can further benefit the future ecosystem of youth startup system.
Now let's take a look at how this model benefits every stakeholder involved. Our collaborative model ensures that founders grow safely, universities innovate faster, and VCs invest smarter. First, university entrepreneurs. They force minimal financial risks. They retain 100% ownership because there is no equity dilution. And they can experiment safely while gaining hands-on startup experience. Second, universities benefit. This model boosts the student startups ecosystem. By commercializing student ideas with VC involvement, the college secures its reputation as an enhanced innovation hub. Third, venture capitals also gain significant advantages. Their early stage investment risk is lower thanks to the support structure around university startups. They get early access to high potential student teams, and their returns become more stable and predictable through revenue-based financing. In short, this model creates a win-win-win ecosystem where students can learn safely, universities can innovate faster, and VCs can invest smarter. This synergy leads to a powerful ripple effect of reducing systematic risks, accelerating campus innovation, and finally building a culture of innovation to our lives. So together, innovation begins here. Thank you for listening.
Okay, congratulations Yoshioka Sensei and all the students for the excellent presentations. Wow, it was truly inspirational to hear from the future generations that will be actually leading our lives. So please give the students and Yoshioka Sensei the biggest hand of the day. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, we'd like to ask 3 guests that have guided the students along the way for some feedback. First, may I ask for Professor SAKATA Ichiro of the Graduate School of Engineering at the University of Tokyo. Welcome, Professor SAKATA.
My name is Ichiro Sakata from the Faculty of Engineering. And in the context of today's sessions, I'm in charge of the entrepreneurship education. Like today's team members, we push the young students and researchers to tackle social challenges by their own way and ideas. So where the great presentations, we really enjoyed your original idea and your story. From my perspectives, all presentations try to bring social and economic values closer together. That is a very good point to transform our systems. And as for the social value, so every team put focus on the ethical and intangible and invisible aspect of the social value. So that this point align with the growing importance of the psychological and recently the ecological aspect of the well-being. So just linked to our discussions of the well-being society. And so that the result, many related to what we found in your presentations. I take memos the safe, fair trade, fun, joyful, intimacy, empathy, and social connections. So such words frequently appear in your presentations. So the point of discussion is how to create the intangible social value and provide the social recognition for it is a common issue we face today and the issue that every team tackled. So overcoming the social challenges creates the social value. So today, joint teams identify a broader range of common social issues rather than the last year's youth sessions. So this year the team expands our scope of the social economic relationship and the discussions. The mechanism that derive society are composed of not only the social system, but also of the social vision and social, cultural, and ethical value, or social ethical context. So every presentation refers to the broader sense of the social system today. So social systems are created according to the vision and the such context, and they operate in accordance with the such vision and context. So, Professor Daron Acemoglu and Professor Simon Johnson, who were awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics last year. So they advocated the importance of inclusive visions. So today, your presentation start with the issues you tackled and your original visions. I believe that's a very good way to present your ideas. And the vision could back up your concrete ideas and methodologies or ways. So, however, as for the concrete methodologies, so I feel a little bit underdeveloped. So that we hope you continue to the discussions within your members, and for the further improvement, so for our society. So finally, we definitely believe the social entrepreneurs, so they will change our system and our world in a better way. So we expect such entrepreneurs will emerge from your teams at the very place. So we hope to such the new and leading entrepreneurs from this place. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Sakata. Next, please welcome Yaguchi Yujin, Vice President and Director of the Center for Global Education and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences at the University of Tokyo.
So good afternoon. It's great to be here. And the students, job well done. I enjoyed listening to your presentations. My comments are directed to the students, but also to the larger audience as well. So students, it was really interesting to listen to what you were saying, because capitalism, as you defined, is a private mode of production, and it celebrates pursuit of wealth. It celebrates individual competition, right? And in a way, you're the victors in this competition. You live in two of the wealthiest nations in the world. You go to great universities in Korea and Japan after winning the competition to get into these great universities. You've got a great career ahead, and you can pursue your career and probably wealth and become rich. If the capitalism society, as you define it, continue, you are going to be the beneficiary. You're going to benefit from capitalism. So why are you trying to reshape it? This is my question. Why would you want to reshape it? And I think you partly answered my question, because you were talking about anxiety, pressure, isolation, right? And need for intimacy, desire for community. That's great. So clearly, capitalism has some problems, and you found them, which is great. But at the same time, it's very important as a university professor, a teacher, to point out that a lot of people have already said so. As you were listening to the sessions yesterday, Adam Smith was talking about this. In 1776, that's when the United States of America declared independence. Right? Karl Marx characterized this by the word alienation. That's 1867, a year before the Meiji Revolution, which is often equated with the beginning of the modern time. Milton Friedman, yesterday, quoted by Professor Beltran, talked about the celebration of business and talked about no need for business to commit themselves to social responsibility. He said it's better not to do so. And talk about why some people go for a more expensive coffee, right? Cultural capital, social capital, that's been discussed for 50 years by Pierre Bourdieu, Robert Putnam, and many others. In other words, many things that you discussed have already been discussed. I'm not saying that, therefore, no need to do so. I'm saying, therefore, you need to continue to discuss. You need to go back to these texts in your university libraries, these classic texts, and continue studying, because that will really make your thought deeper. Finally, one thing I wanted to note is that the issues you raised regarding the problems of capitalism, alienation, lack of intimacy, craving for community, that's all good. That's all good. But I think we need to look at not only these personal, private levels, but structural issues. Okay. Let's talk about maldistribution of resources. Poverty. You don't really talk about poverty. Right? Exploitation of resources. Displacement. You just heard that in the city of Glasgow, the lifespan is so different depending on where people live. And also gender issues. Those big companies, yes, they were established by young men, entrepreneurs, but they were all men. Why? There has to be some underlying structural issues that enable particular segment of the population to benefit in this capitalist society. So it's very important to think about your individual concerns, but also the structural concerns of the world. And I hope this Tokyo Forum has enabled you to see this, and I hope it enabled all of us to see this, because it certainly did to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Yaguchi. And next, to conclude the commentary, may I ask for SOHN Jie-ae, invited professor at Ewha Women's University and former Korea's ambassador for cultural cooperation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for inviting me and inviting me to come up and talk to you. First off, I have been with the students for a while, so there's actually not a lot to comment towards them, but say, good job, done, well done. I'm so very, very proud of you. I know I have been critical before, but you did a wonderful job. Now, since I have been with them for a while, I think my comments are not towards them, but actually towards us. First off, I want to thank the Tokyo Forum for allowing and taking a chance on the young generation and giving them a voice, giving them a platform, unlike any other forum that I've ever been. And I think you have given these young people a wonderful start to what I hope is a life of strong leadership connected between strong bonds between Korea and Japan. So I do thank you for that. I also think, and I have been involved with the youth session since 2019, when it first started. And we have, I think the youth session, we have heard a lot of very interesting things coming from the young generation. Things like, in marriage, we don't really think that a low birth rate is a national issue. We don't really care. We think it's a personal issue. You have to make it good for me to have a child. And it doesn't matter whether it's benefiting the country or not. And a lot of different things that we haven't really thought about in terms of our policies and shaping the future. And I think that is really the value of our youth session, is that at times we are, they are still in a difficult position. And you have to understand that they first met each other just a few months ago in September, yeah? This is their second time actually meeting face to face. They've had maybe a handful of sessions through Zoom. Professor Yoshioka has been wonderful in guiding them and providing them with as much information and basis as possible. And all of these wonderful professors have given them lectures and experiences. But come on, capitalism, a lot of people spend our whole lives, trying to understand capitalism. And the young people, we've asked them to come up with a unique idea. And this is the only thing we asked of them. Come up with something that we have never heard before. Come up with your ideas. Come up with a rethinking of capitalism. And you have to understand how difficult that must be for them. But I think in the end, they have tried very much to make this issue their own. And I am also very, very positive to hear things like empathy, things like we are trying to think about fair trade, think about developed countries. These young people are the children, as you mentioned, of capitalism. For them, I thought they might just overthrow capitalism. But for them, the alternative to capitalism is not socialism. They've never really ever seen socialism at work. The alternative capitalism is something quite different and maybe something that we have yet to see. And so I look forward to seeing much more coming from the youth session, and I hope it continues. I think it is a wonderful way to keep reminding us that the future we shape is not ours, but theirs. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador SOHN. And congratulations again to all the students and all the mentors for the amazing and successful Youth Session 2025.